All right, good morning, and thank you for joining us here in Ottawa. My name is Ken Dobson. I'm the chair of the Board of Recreation RV Dealer Association of Canada, or RVDA of Canada. I'm proud to speak on behalf of Canada's RV dealers, an industry made up of largely of entrepreneurial, family-run businesses rooted in communities across this great country. Our sector helps Canadians connect with the outdoors, supports local economies, and plays an important role in tourism, trade, and employment from coast to coast to coast. With me today is Ellie, chair of the Canadian Camping and RV Association. I want to focus on three practical priorities that are critical to the future of our sector: fair trade under CUSMA, investment in tourism infrastructure, and support for skilled workers. These are not abstract policies ideas to us. They are real, day-to-day issues affecting small businesses, employees, campgrounds, manufacturers, and Canadian families who choose RVing as one of the most flexible, affordable, and accessible ways to travel and experience this great country. First, as the federal government prepares to enter renegotiations of the Canadian-United States-Mexico agreement this summer, we urge policymakers to recognize the unique structure of Canada's RV industry. Our sector is deeply integrated with North American supply chains. Approximately 95% of the RVs sold in Canada are manufactured in the United States. That means our dealers and the customers we serve rely on predictable, open, and barrier-free trade. For our industry, this is simply not a trade discussion. It's an affordability issue, a consumer choice issue, and a small business issue. That is why it is essential that RVs remain clearly defined and distinct with any future agreement. In particular, we are asking the government to preserve the current definitions of motorhomes as categorically different from standard consumer vehicles. That distinction matters. Without it, RVs could become subject to regulatory frameworks and trade barriers intended for passenger vehicles, creating unnecessary cost, complexity, and uncertainty for both dealers and consumers. We're also asking that motorized and towable RVs continue to be treated as a separate category in the trade agreements. This will help avoid unintended overlap with other sectors and allow our industry to continue operating efficiently across borders. Second, we must continue to invest in Canada's tourism infrastructure, particularly within our campground, park, and RV travel systems. RVing remains one of the most practical and accessible ways for Canadians to explore their own country. It also brings meaningful economic benefits to rural communities, seasonal destinations, and small businesses that depend on tourism traffic. From family-owned campgrounds to local restaurants, fuel stations, service providers, and attractions, RV travel creates a broad economic ripple effect in communities across Canada. But to fully realize that potential, we need targeted federal investment in camping and RV infrastructure. Upgrading campgrounds, expanding capacity, modernizing services, and improving the overall visitor experience will help meet growing demand and strengthen Canada's tourism offering. This is a practical opportunity. When we invest in the infrastructure that supports RV travel, we make it easier for Canadians to discover Canada. And we make our country more attractive to international visitors looking for outdoor, experience-based tourism. Thirdly, we need to invest in people, specifically the skilled workers who keep our industry moving. Like many sectors, the RV industry is facing a growing shortage of trained technicians and tradespeople. At the same time, many experienced workers are nearing retirement, and the pipeline behind them is simply not strong enough. Currently, only 3 programs in Canada offer RV technician apprenticeships, leading to Red Seal certification. Those programs fill quickly, and too many interested and capable students are left without access because the training is not available in the region. If we want a strong and sustainable RV industry, we need to make it easier, not harder, for the next generation to enter the trade. The other day, the spring economic statement, the federal government introduced several initiatives aimed at strengthening the training and hiring of skilled tradespeople. We welcome these measures as a step in the right direction and as recognition of the workforce challenges facing industries like ours. As these new investments are rolled out, the RVDA of Canada looks forward to working with the government to help ensure that these funds are directed where they can have the greatest impact, including supporting the specific needs of the RV sector. For example, the association has been recommending that the labor mobility deduction for tradespeople is expanded so that it applies to individuals who must temporarily relocate for apprentice training and certification. These are practical measures that would help remove barriers, strengthen our workforce, and support the long-term competitiveness of our sector. In closing, Canada's RV dealers are very proud. They're proud of the role we play in helping Canadians experience our country. We are proud to represent an industry built not only on products, but on freedom, family, travel, and connection to the outdoors. We are also proud to represent a sector made up of incredibly hardworking, small businesses that continue to adapt, invest, and serve their communities with resilience and determination. As an industry, we understand that there will be factors outside of our control, but the priorities we are discussing today are well within our control. Fair trade rules, stronger tourism infrastructure, and better support for skilled workers are practical steps that can make a real difference. If we get these pieces right, we will strengthen small business, support tourism, improve affordability and access for Canadian families, and position our industry for long-term success. We look forward to working with the federal government in that very spirit. Thank you, and I'll now invite Ellie to highlight the challenges facing campgrounds across Canada. Ellie?
Thank you, Ken. So good afternoon. My name is Ellie Abucay-Giammattolo, and I am the chair of the Canadian Camping and RV Association, or CCRVA. CCRVA is a Canada-wide nonprofit industry association consisting of the Provincial Campground Owners Association and their private campgrounds, the RVDA of Canada, and the Canadian RV Association of Canada. The camping and RV industry spends $2.9 billion on labor income annually and collectively contributes $7.6 billion to government revenues. Our recent economic data highlights that the industry generates $10.3 billion in tourism-related expenditures. What we're seeing across Canada right now is a structural disconnect between how our industry operates and how it is treated in federal policy. First, taxation. Most private campgrounds in Canada are small family-run businesses. They're hands-on operations that manage guests, maintain infrastructure, employ staff, and contribute directly to local economies. Yet, under the current Income Tax Act, many of these businesses are classified as specified investment businesses, effectively treating them as passive income operations. The classification is fundamentally misaligned with reality. It results in tax rates that can reach up to 50%, compared to small business tax rates of approximately 15% available to other active businesses. The consequences are not theoretical. It directly limits reinvestment. Campground owners often must delay hiring, postpone upgrades, and scale back improvements that would otherwise enhance the visitor experience and drive tourism growth. Our position is straightforward. Small, family-run campgrounds should be recognized as active businesses. This includes amending the Income Tax Act, introducing a clear exemption for seasonal operations, and creating a simplified, consistent qualification process. This is about tax fairness, but more importantly, it's about preserving their affordability of camping for Canadians. When campground operators face ongoing uncertainty and are taxed at passive rates, it directly limits their ability to control costs, invest in their operations, and keep camping accessible and affordable travel option. Second, we need to address a growing infrastructure gap, specifically electrification. The RV industry is evolving. Demand for electric-powered vehicles and higher capacity service is increasing, and campgrounds are expected to keep pace. However, many of these businesses operate in rural and remote areas, and electrical infrastructure is already constrained, and the cost to upgrade is significant. Without targeting investments, we're creating a situation where campgrounds cannot meet emerging customer expectations. That translates directly into lost tourism opportunity and reduced accessibility for Canadian travelers. Our recommendation is clear. Federal support must prioritize electrical infrastructure upgrades in the camping sector. This includes dedicated funding, grid modernization, incentives for private investment, and public-private partnerships that accelerate deployment where it's needed most. If we get this right, the outcome is strong, campgrounds remain competitive, rural regions capture more tourism demand, and Canada positions itself for the next generation of outdoor travel. If we do not, we risk falling behind in both infrastructure and visitor experience at a time when demand for nature-based tourism is accelerating. The RVDA of Canada and CCRVA look forward to working with all members of Parliament to encourage long-term investments to support growing RV and camping industries as they represent an important economic lever for tourism across the country. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to meeting all parliamentarians this week.
Thank you. Merci. Nous n'avons pas de questions pour le moment. There are no questions at the moment. Is there something you would like to add to your statement?
No, I think we've said a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci. C'est cette conférence de presse.
Okay, thank you very much.